What's going on, everyone? I know it's dark, and I thought about turning on the light, but I feel like the vibe is just on point. You know what I mean? Got the tempo going, so check. Jump right into it. I was asked to talk about this Logan Paul and Mayweather fight. Real quick, my take on it. You know, I prefer to simplify things as much as possible. That's what we were taught, right? Let's simplify this whole situation as much as possible. It's worth listening to. For one, some people think the fight is fixed. If you think it's fixed, and I'm not saying it's not, but if you think the fight is fixed, there's not one punch in there that's worth commentary. None of it matters. It's not worth talking about. There's no point in talking about it if it's fixed. It was all staged anyway, so there's no such thing as but he caught him with this and this and that. It was all fixed. Things can still happen in a fixed situation, but if the turnout is supposed to be a certain way, that's what's gonna happen. None of it really mattered. None of it really counted for anything. If that's the case, do I think it's fixed? It's very possible. Honestly, there's so many different ways to look at this fight that just took place, and there's so many different ways to look at this situation, period. The whole fight. One, Floyd being who he is, what he is. Logan not being that, not that he has to be Floyd, but he's not a real fighter. And he'll tell you that he's a content creator, in which he is. He's not actually a fighter. So for them to even go the distance, that doesn't make sense. That sounds very fixed to me. And people will go back and forth about that. No, but he got 40, 50 pounds on him and things like that, and which is true, but he's still not a fighter, man, and that's very evident when you see him fight. Anyone that can fight, anyone that has any kind of training under their belt can tell that dude's not a fighter. Dude is very cool, very funny, not a fighter. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't make sense. So one way to look at it is it was very fixed, and it was all about the money, which I'm sure it is. And Floyd will tell you that with no problem. That's not a secret. It's all about the money, and he said that from start to finish, it's about entertainment. I'm just going out there to entertain people. You know what I mean? And I don't know. People might have their own interpretation when someone says that. I'm just here to entertain. You know what I mean? They might think, all right, fight hard. And that don't necessarily mean fight hard. It means put on a show. And a show can be a false reality with intention to entertain. A show doesn't mean real, And then sometimes a show means when to get out here and get down. And I don't think that's what Floyd's intention was. You know what I mean? Nor Logan's, honestly. Because you don't have to, a fight like that, you don't have to win. You just got to get out there. You can get knocked out and still get all kind of thumbs up and all of that, man. And shoot, they talk about that moment where Logan did get knocked out. I watched it. I'm not really sure if he did, if he didn't. It would make sense if he did, that Floyd held him up. That all of that would go with the same idea, all under the same umbrella that the fight was fixed. The fight being fixed is not a huge deal to me. I never thought that Logan. I wanted to see this fight, but I never thought that Logan was gonna win or anything like that, for a couple reasons. And anyone that did think he was going to win or wanted him to win, it was just because they messed with Logan. Because he's popular and things like that. It's not because of any kind of sense you could put together in a boxing situation that he was going to win. He's not a boxer like that. And that's no stab, that's no jab, none of that. All good. I don't know Logan, but cool to me. But he's not a fighter like that at all. So one, what was it? Okay, so I wanted to see if Floyd, what Floyd was going to do. Would he treat it like the last handful of matches, before he retired? Or, would he actually show Logan something? Anything like that? A lot of real fighters, a lot of boxers, well, I don't know how many actually. I'd heard a couple say, they were disappointed because he didn't do that. He didn't show them anything for real. It was just, just a show. But it's Floyd to tell you he put in his work. He ain't got to do none of that no more. Ain't nothing to prove. And that's true. And I feel it. I could say whatever in this video, and he ain't coming back to respond to it. So y'all can't even see my face. So that'd be the first thing he say. This cat's hiding his face. You know what I mean? I'm not. This guy challenge 1-on-1. None of that. But yeah, either way, let's say if it was real, I never thought that Logan was gonna win. I know he has so much weight on Floyd and all of that, and it does make a difference, when you hit somebody, and it makes a difference vice versa as well. It's not the same when you're 150 pounds. It's not the same when you hit somebody that's 40, 50 pounds heavier. You're more liable to knock somebody out that's 150 pounds when you're 150 pounds versus nearly 200. It just don't work the same. But at the same time, Logan would have to land that hit. It's like he has the build for that dynamic to play out in that way to where he could knock out Floyd, but he'd have to get it off at the same time, and I couldn't see that happening either, honestly. With Floyd being so cold at dodging and what he does, and I'm not a huge Floyd fan because I believe a handful of his fights were fixed. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's not going to respond to anything I'm saying. And shoot. If he did, he knows he'd be doing me a favor. I'd jump in the ring with him, sure. Would I win? I doubt it. For a few reasons, but we know what's up. It was all a payout. Anybody would have jumped in the ring with him because that's a payout, but I doubt it was. I'm sure. I don't know if Logan really believes he won, or is that part of the whole thing of it being fixed, or whatever the case is. But it wasn't really much to win. I think Logan has good potential, man, to be a good fighter, a boxer, or whatever. If that's something he really wanted to do, it doesn't look like it. Watching him, he looks like, I've seen this before. I've trained with people like this before. He looks like someone that's out there not doing what he just learned, or not fighting the way he trained. He looks like he fights like that goes out the window, and he just starts. I want to say street instinct, or just whatever was actually natural, just kind of wild, And then at the same time, you can see in moments when he can be sharp. He has that in him too, if he just channeled that more, but he doesn't channel it enough. But he has potential, and you can see that as well if he just ever really wanted to do something with it. But at the same time, in the beginning, middle, and end, you can still see he ain't really a fighter like that. Kind of locks his back leg in his stance when he's moving. So it's somewhat stiff in a sense. Back leg shouldn't be locking. It makes it harder to move when it's time to move. The guard stays down. No real guard. It's pretty much always down. A lot of great boxers, guard will go down at some point, and it's usually for a reason, and it's out of comfort, but not just out of comfort. It's usually for a reason, which could be baiting someone, baiting the opponent to come in a certain way. There's a plan. There's a reason why that guard is down, why it's low. Something's coming up from below, and it'll be sharp, but it can be baiting someone. So there's intention behind it, and they don't just stay down. you know. But his is it's probably probably what feels most comfortable is what it looks like, while not being really skilled with his guard being low like that. You know what I mean? And punches just kind of wild. You know, that's just what it is. He got some speed to his jab, and he's pretty good at dodging too. Man, he has potential, flat out. Would I fight him? That's what someone asked me. Of course I would. You know what I mean? Why not? You know what I mean? Same situation. I would love to. Would I just fight him in a garage? You know what I mean? Just messing around. I would do that too. Honestly, he's got even more weight on me. So if we look at the situation like that, if I was to fight Logan, could I beat him? I really couldn't say. He probably has 70 pounds on me. If I get hit with one of his hits, if he landed a clean one, I could go to sleep. You know, realistically speaking, I could possibly hit him with 20 clean ones before he hit me. And I'm not a boxer. Doesn't mean I'm not a fighter. And I don't mean I'm a street fighter. There's a difference in how they fight as well. I can fight. You know what I mean? I'm not quite a boxer. And honestly, that might even be easier for me to do boxing, considering I don't have to watch out for any legs or anything like that. But yeah, I could easily go to sleep. Because I'm not a boxer, I'm not sure how strong my chin is, how strong it would be, things like that. You know, I'm not constantly getting hit in the chin. I'm usually getting hit in various places, you know, when I'm training. But it's not the same as boxing at all. You know, there might be somewhat of a similarity in footwork and things like that, but it's not really the same. So, you know, still respect to the whole situation, but I would definitely do it, you know. And I'm sure even with me not being a boxer, I could probably outbox him, you know, just with different things that I learned. And even if I learned some, just because looking at him, watched a few videos of him training and things like that, and then watching him in the ring, even when he fought KSI, he's not moving the same. And it usually looks like he's holding back, and maybe he is. In the first video, he said, you know, with KSI, he said, you know, he just didn't really have that monster in him to unload on dude like that. And that's cool too, and I feel that. And with Mayweather, you know, who knows? You know, there was that moment at the end of the first round, I believe, when he was kind of letting loose and all of that. And even that still looked like he wasn't really trying. It didn't look natural. And some of it looked natural and some of it didn't. Because, and the reason I say that is because I don't understand how you didn't get some clean ones off, man. Even if it was a clean one that was blocked, man, you should have tore that guard up or something, man. You know, you're just kind of moving through the ring awkwardly as he was doing it. And then that was the only time that happened. So, there's so many different things about it. But one of the ones wanted to know my take. Was it fixed? I can't tell you that. You know, it's still for you to decide. It's very possible. Wouldn't surprise me at all, you know. But like I said, dude still has potential. Talking about Logan and Floyd. Other people saying that Floyd should fight this person. Understand now everyone is always going to be about the money with Floyd. He tells you that. That's not my opinion. That's what he says. He got nothing to prove, and he don't. You know what I mean? There's nothing that he has to prove. Proving anything is not mandatory for him. So that's what it is. Oh, am I calling Logan out? No, that's not what this is. You know, would I accept? I would totally accept. You know, that's a fight that probably would never happen because our weight class is just too far off. You know, I'm around 120 pounds, but you know, for fun, I'd jump in the ring with him if I ever met him. anything like that. But yeah, that's what it is. So many for the ones that do think the fight was real. I just gave you a bunch to consider. You know, and why it wouldn't make sense. And like Floyd said, you know, you can be big and be this and that, but you got to be able to fight. And he was on point with that, you know, man. And the matchup wasn't realistic, world. You know, the two level of fighters, not a realistic matchup as far as skill goes. So, wouldn't have been a surprise if Floyd actually knocked him out. I would be surprised because what most people, I guess, don't know, Floyd has bad hands from fighting so long. They swell up easily. So he ain't been going for the knockout in a long time. Last time he did, and I forgot who he was fighting, his hand swelled up. He mentioned, he said, I wanted to go for the knockout, but my hand swelled, I hurt my hand swollen, things like that. And that was a while ago. I forgot who that was. In the last 10 fights. And that's why that ain't happening no more. He just go the distance. He knows he can do that, you know, and he can. Still in great shape, not tired. Don't really get exhausted like that. You know, he can make it through a 12-round fight. So that's what that was and is. But yeah, he ain't sleeping cats like that no more. It would cost him. If my trainers tell me they're in pain every day from so many years of fighting, hands and all of that, it's a real thing. Makes a lot of sense. He probably, the harder he hits somebody, the more damage he might do to himself. You know. And really though, when it comes down to it, sleep both them cats. You know, I'm joking.